Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're diving into some pretty interesting data about how people are buying things these days. Specifically, we're going to be talking about buy now, pay later,
BNPL. Yep.
right? BNPL, those plans that let you split up purchases into installments. We're working with some data from a recent payments intelligence report,
It's called the Pay Later Revolution.
the pay later revolution. This report was put together with our friends over at Split, and the numbers are kind of shocking, honestly.
Yeah, definitely a big jump. The report shows that by the end of next year, so end of 2024, it's projected that something like 38% of American consumers will have used BNPL at least once.
38%, that's wild.
It is. That's a 24% increase from just last year, 2023. So,
Hmm.
that kind of gives you a sense of how quickly this is all happening. It's being adopted really rapidly.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But what we really want to focus on today, what we want to dig into, is who is actually driving this growth. The report, it digs into the BNPL habits of people with, well, with higher incomes, affluent consumers.
Yeah, the more affluent consumers.
And that's where it gets really interesting, I think. You know, kind of goes against what people might normally think.
Exactly. I mean, I think we often associate BNPL with, folks who might need to spread out payments because of budget constraints, but the data, well, it shows something a little bit different when we look at higher earners, people with more money.
Yeah. So let's look at that. What does it say? Well, the report says that 60% of BNPL users who make over $100,000 a year
Over 100,000. Yeah.
say that the main reason they use BNPL is for convenience.
For convenience.
Convenience. I mean, what does that tell us?
Right. Well, it's pretty fascinating, isn't it? I mean, it kind of suggests that even people with plenty of financial resources, they're thinking about payments differently these days.
Yeah.
It's less about like, oh, I can't afford to pay for this all at once, and more about, just how easy and flexible BNPL is.
Mhm.
Maybe it's a way to manage their cash flow a little better without having to like tie up a big chunk of money all at once.
Right. That makes sense. And the report gets even more specific. It says that 61.4%, so a little over 61% of these more affluent BNPL users are using it to splurge, quote unquote, splurge on different kinds of purchases.
Just splurge. I like that.
So what are we talking about here? What kind of splurges?
Well, the report gives some pretty interesting examples. Things like designer clothing, overseas travel,
Okay. Yeah.
even things like porcelain veneers. Like, we're not talking about your everyday, gotta have it purchases.
Porcelain veneers. Wow. That's a statement.
That's a choice.
Makes you think about how people are deciding where their money's going and how they're using these payment options for things that, maybe in the past they would have just paid for all at once.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, if you kind of connect this back to bigger trends, it seems like BNPL it's changing. It's not just for people who are on a tight budget anymore.
Right.
It's becoming like a regular part of how a lot of people, even people with higher incomes, manage their money, especially when it comes to those fun purchases,
Mm-hmm.
the luxury items, the travel, those kinds of things.
Totally. All right. So big takeaway here.
Yeah.
Right? Big takeaway is that BNPL, it's not just for one kind of person anymore. I mean,
Right.
we're seeing a huge increase in how many people are using it. And a lot of those people, well, they've got plenty of money. They're choosing BNPL because it's easy, it's convenient, and it lets them buy the things they want, the fun stuff, the trips.
The nice clothes, the veneers.
The veneers, exactly.
So this kind of brings up a big question. Like, what does all this mean? I mean, what does it tell us about how people think about debt these days? About, being flexible with their payments? Like, is it possible that just having that convenience, that ease of BNPL is starting to, be more important than how we used to think about money? Is that happening for more and more people, no matter how much they make? It's something to think about.
Definitely something to think about. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.